we're ready to get started. Thanks for being here to all the press and everybody watching. We are very excited here to be back in Detroit and delivered once again. It's very exciting racing, especially by these three to the right of me. A couple quick announcements before we get started. So, rules of the room. We talked about it before in the press. State your name, your affiliation, and then do one question. If you can keep it to one question, and then we want to get everybody to have a chance. So ask your question. We'll come back to you later on if we have time. We should have time, we normally do, but keep that in mind. Let's see, historic night for Triumph making their Supercross debut. Jalek Swoll finishing sixth on the night. Evan Ferry unfortunately crashing out, waiting for an update on his status. Evan was checked out by Alpine Stars and it sounds like he is okay, so that is great news. Up here we have Ken Roczen, Chase, Sexton, and Jett, third, second, and first. Let's give a big round of applause for this main event in Detroit. And Chase, I'm going to go with Jett. I want to give you a bit of a softball here, man. Some redemption for you. I know the past few rounds have been kind of rough a little bit. So how does it feel to get on the top step once again like you did in A1?
No, it definitely feels nice. It's been a rough couple of weeks on the riding side of things, and I was obviously off the bike, but no, it helps make these wins even sweeter, and it's a good bit of motivation, you know?
Yeah, you and Kenny both mentioned the track was breaking down, getting tough, and you said there were 2 times that were kind of scary for you. Can you bring us through those?
Oh yeah, I thought it was my time those 2 times, but luckily it wasn't yet. So no, it was scary. I think my main big one that I had where I winded myself on that tabletop, I found out my shifter was hitting the rut when I go to seatbound, so it kind of go into like neutral because I was in first gear. So that was a scary one, and I was able to fix that. Then the other one was just took a different line that wasn't fully switched on and kind of endoed the whiskey throttle. Thankfully, I was able to kind of keep it on 2 wheels and bring it home after that. I was just kind of doubling almost through things. So, no, it was nice to bring it back home.
Well, it's a testament to your control, man. Well done. All right, let's open it up to the media here. Let's start. Dan Beaver.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports for Kenny. On that first turn, how much, you said you were a little, not tentative, but didn't go in as hard as you might have. How much of that was what happened last week when you went up, and how much was it what happened in the 250 race with Cameron washing out?
Well, the 250 race, I think they just locked bars on the straightaway. So then, once you start shooting a right, you take out everybody next to you. But for me, no, I got off the start okay, and even into the first turn. But somebody on the inside, and I think it was Jason Anderson, got just a little bit of a wheel on me. So then when they dive in deep, I have to really check up because if I turn too soon, I'll hit his rear wheel and just go down again. So I really had to check up and just let everybody by, and then the first turn, people bouncing left and right, we almost had to roll the whole thing, and then I ended up being mid-pack, and it's tough to get to the very front when you're that far back right off the bat, So I just, I don't know, I just have been getting a little unlucky in the first turn, or just not good enough of a jump to actually dive in there and come around, in the top 3.
Scott Yarjo, Moto Now Blog. Jett, it's been a couple crazy weeks. This is kind of a 2-part question. First, we've seen you hit the ground a lot in the last few weeks. Are you feeling sore from that? And then secondly, the negative reactions from the crowd just kind of generally over the last few weeks. How do you deal with that mentally?
Well, thankfully I'm still pretty young, so the recovery time's fairly quickly. That's just noise. It's a lot of people have had it before, and it's not like it's the first time it's ever happened in the sport. So it is what it is. Just helps little motivational stuff, kind of wanting to go out and do good. And obviously the past few weeks haven't been quite the best with the results, and just kind of making silly decisions and kind of wanting to win so bad. So this kind of cost me a few mistakes, and this kind of reset tonight and just kind of go back to my old ways of trying to get a good start and just hit my marks.
Victoria Beaver, Sports Illustrated's Auto Racing Digest for Chase. What does it mean to get, without getting the win, get the red plate this week, and how do you look forward to that?
Yeah, it's nice to have the red plate, but it really only matters is the person who ends with it. So it's nice to have it back. We're all pretty close in points, but tonight was one of my best rides on the new bike. I think we've had so many mud races. Last weekend was a Triple Crown, and this weekend was our first real main event, and I felt pretty solid in the conditions. I didn't have a great heat race, and after seeing the 250 start, I was pretty far outside, and I was a little bit nervous if I didn't get a good jump, I was going to get pushed off the track. So I got a good start, and I had some good speed, some mistakes obviously, but it was a good main event, and looking forward to build off that.
Andrea Ruggiero with Motor Now Blog. This one's for Ken. The whoops so far have been limited to 9, and they're shorter and easier than they have been in the past. You're a rider that's normally pretty good in the whoops, so what are your feelings about this change?
Well, it depends. You always got to look at the track conditions. You know, the whoops, yes, they were small and fairly flat, but they get so cupped out, and you know they can be treacherous either way. Nonetheless, I've been feeling super comfortable in them, and even in the main, I skimmed them for most of the main, and so that's when you feel comfortable in the whoops, it just makes everywhere else on the track easier, and you just feel more comfortable and get in a much better flow. So also for me tonight, I think was one of the best rides and the most fun that I've had.
Jim Kimball with Motocross Action for Chase Sexton. Chase, you're riding, you've kind of been consistently at the front, very consistent. Has your riding changed a bit? Whereas it's not, maybe you make a big mistake like you might have in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I think starting off the season, I definitely lacked speed, but the last however many weeks, I've been getting faster and faster, and we'll definitely get back to the speed I had last year. Just it takes a little bit of time getting to know a new bike and what works and what doesn't, but overall, I feel very stable on the bike. I feel happy. It's a lot different, and like I've said before, it just it takes a lot to get used to. So we'll keep getting better and get some of that speed back that we had last year.
Jeff Bieber, Whiskey Dogby, is his questions for Chase. This is pretty much hometown race for you, split here in Indy, but can you tell us, like, as a kid growing up, coming up here, coming to the races, and now to be on the podium and get the red plate here, what is that like for you?
Yeah, this race is, it's not really a home race for me. I have St. Louis and Indy are a little bit closer, but it's just nice to be back in the cold air. I said yesterday I went to dinner with Dunch. I'm like, man, it just feels nice to breathe cold air. Like it's refreshing, and it's pretty close to where I've done a lot of amateur races, and it does feel a little bit like home. Just like I said, being in it's kind of the Midwest. We're more north, but yeah, it feels homey, and looking forward to Indy and obviously St. Louis.
Jamie Guida.
Jamie Guida, Violin X. Kenny, I think you came out in the first lap, 9th place, worked your way up to 3rd, obviously. Talk about the track conditions. It seemed like that rhythm after the mechanics row was very important to get that over the table. It seemed like the best route. But just, yeah, overall track conditions and how it affected you.
Yeah, totally. That one was a key section. I think I missed it once or twice, and it really bites you because getting over that tabletop, you're taking off from a little curb, right? So you really have to get into that pocket is super tight. So anytime I would over jump it by like an inch, I would kind of have to seat bounce it. But you know, if you just over jump it a little bit more, it's like you almost couldn't do it. You know, so missing that, you go double after and you jump off the 5-footer. So you're just losing a lot of time. But other than that, from my side personally, I that was probably the only mistake or 2 mistakes that I did was not getting that. And then, you know, obviously with track conditions like this too, later in the race, and lappers, the lap times were a lot shorter, so it just felt like we were starting to hit lappers in the pack of 4, and that just really tears the field apart. You know, you can get lucky and whatnot, but that really tears the field apart a little bit, and I think that's where, for me personally, I just kind of lost a little bit of touch, and wasn't no man's land then, and with it getting gnarlier and gnarlier, I just ended up, you know, wanting to bring it home in the podium and not do a silly mistake, and because after the last few weekends as well, it's, you know, I've been riding really well, but my results haven't been there, so I didn't want to lose any more points than I already did, and luckily with some of the results that I've had, the point gap is really not that bad. I feel like in the years past I would have been 60 points down by now, and it's like 20 or 21, so it's really, it was just nice to be back on the podium, and with these conditions, you know, it can bite you so quick. You know, you can hit your marks 20 laps in a row and then make one little mistake, and it can all be done.
All right, thank you.
Kellen Brown.
Thanks, Kellen Brown with RacerX. Chase, for you, kind of piggybacking on what Ken just talked about with the track. You guys did 28 laps tonight, and for you, you kind of made a couple runs at Jett and then eventually settled back into 2nd. Can you just talk about the mental and physical balance of trying to fight the track but also trying to fight forward?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a chess game. I was good in the beginning, and then Jett kind of got away, and I started picking up on some of his lines, and I started making a little bit of a run and got really cross-started in the whoops, and that was kind of all I had. So, or not all I had, it was kind of over at that point. So I was, yeah, it was a good race, and when you see, I know he was trying to manage the race, and I wanted to make a little bit of a charge and make him uncomfortable, and I made a mistake in the meantime. So it was, like I said, the track was really gnarly. It was almost kind of like Indy feeling. It's maybe a little bit harder, but the softest Detroit that I've ever raced, definitely. So it was a fun track, and the layout was kind of basic, but it got pretty difficult towards the end, and the whoops were pretty technical. So overall, fun race, and yeah, happy to be on the podium, but looking forward to making some more progress.
Nick Still.
Yeah, thank you. Nick Still, MotoOnline.com. This will be for Jett. Jett, on the broadcast, you mentioned, Jett Lawrence showed up tonight. What's the biggest differences from this to, the past 2 weeks for you?
I think the biggest difference for me is more this is my decision kind of making. Been the past few weeks have just been kind of not as good, and so I think that's when I mean kind of like Jett Lawrence, I mean like more up here Jett Lawrence, not so much riding side of things, because my speed's been not too bad, but it's just more poor executing and that stuff. So yeah, I think what I mean by that is more kind of performance side of thing less, and then more just kind of mentally, kind of decision wise.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Brad Gebhardt.
Thanks, Brad Gebhardt for Moto. Let's stick with Jett here. What changes have you made to the motorcycle in the last 5 weeks, if any? If you went from A1 till now, it's been quite a big change. We came into A1 with being pretty stiff. So, and we went a lot softer, but obviously we haven't really got to test it out much because the last few rounds have been pretty muddy, and then obviously A2 we got to test it out a bit and felt really, really good. But it was nice to kind of come to a track that had traction and would pull the bike in, because then our other setting would work a lot better. So it's good learning for me to learn this 450. It's a tough bike to learn, just with all that motor. So it's a cool learning curve for me. The team's been great. Been working really hard, so it's nice to get this win, especially in these rough conditions. And nice shout out to Derek for doing that suspension and kind of getting us set up good. So yeah. All right, thanks.
Jonathan McCready.
Question for Ken. Ken, you've had the speed probably to be on the podium every week so far, but the results aren't there. How frustrating has that been over the first month of the season, and does your experience help you deal with that better, or is it still frustrating you?
It's definitely frustrating, but it's not for a lack of effort, and that's why I hold my head high. On the racing side of things, there's stuff that can happen in the first turn. There's so much going on, right? It doesn't always have to be your fault. But in the end, no matter where I find myself, whether I'm a half a lap down or just in the back of the pack, every time I pick up my bike or whatever the problem was, I go back out and try to get to the front until the checkered flag flies, and I never give up. So I've been dealing with it really well. Of course, I always want to do better and be on the podium, because after all that work, like, I deserve it, the team deserves it. But that just, I'm not the kind of guy that plays the I can't catch a break type thing. It's just part of racing, and like I said, the season is really long and so much racing to go. And just like how I had a streak of, if you want to call it bad luck, that can happen to anybody. And we fought our way back to the podium, and I know we got everything that it takes to be on the top step. But at least, before I think about winning all the time, I want to get some consistency and being on the podium. I really want to make up a bit of points, and maybe towards the lead, but also in general, I think I'm still 8th or something like that. So I just really want to get a little bit further up to the front in the point standings. And so yeah, it's been totally fine. Like, I haven't really pounded my head in the sand, because I have the most fun on the motorcycle, and I have a super good motorcycle, and I enjoy the racing side of things. So I've held my head high.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridges.
Ryan Bridges, Supercross Live. Jett, we're celebrating the 50th year Supercross this year, and yet you only have 2 wins in the 450 Supercross class, but you got 42 total wins in AMA and racing, and that actually ties you with Mark Barnett and Jeff Emig inside the top 15 now. Now, as far as the 50th year Supercross, what are some of these names and the history of the sport mean to you and your family as you do your part to climb up the all-time standings?
Yeah, personally, it's awesome to kind of be up there with all those greats. Sadly, my history knowledge in the sport's not the best because I was more focused on playing with friends when it was Supercross night. But no, it's definitely an honour being up with those names. It's cool to see that I'm slowly climbing up that board and racking them wins up. But no, looking forward to kind of to the end of my career, kind of seeing where I finish up at. So hopefully we have a good, healthy career. But no, it's definitely cool to see those names up there and be up among them.
Dan?
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports again for Jett. You're now 2 for 2 in regular format dry track races, and both of the wins have been fairly dominant. Do you feel that that's? Do you feel the momentum shift, or are you still thinking that there's a lot of parity going on?
Sorry, what was that last bit there?
That there's a lot of leveling of the field going on, a lot of parity.
No, yeah, for sure. It's the field is very stacked this year. Everyone's fairly close in speed, so I think the biggest thing is for me is just kind of getting those consistency and consistent starts really, and just always being up there. It's a long Supercross season, so yeah, no, it's definitely hopefully it switches sides a little bit and I start getting in a bit of a kind of groove and rhythm. But we'll obviously see. We're going from such different kind of track conditions, from here being really soft, rutted out, kind of slower pace, technical, and then we're going to go to Arizona now where it's going to be pretty hard and dry, and it's going to be going Mach 10. So it's going to be an exciting learning curve, but no, I think the biggest thing is just trying to stay consistent. I'll be very happy with just consistent starts and consistent podiums.
Haley?
Thank you. Haley from Race Day Live. This question is for Jett. Sometimes our performances, our race results, it's to prove something to ourselves, and other times it's to prove something to other people. So was that the case tonight? If so, which one was it, or maybe a combination?
No, it's obviously always good to get a win for yourself. The other side of things would be nice if you'd like to know, wouldn't you? But no, it's for the team, for me. So yeah.
John McCready, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just for Jett, you had a battle with Jason Anderson, Jett, in the heat race. Were you a bit nervous in some of them corners, and how was that for you? And also your starts were really good tonight. Did you make any changes with the bike?
Yeah, no, it's that heat race was fun with Jason. It's I tried making sure I didn't show my respect in the racing, and with him, with his previous racing, obviously kind of figure I was trying to mentally think, okay, yeah, just getting this right, but for some reason my body was being very cautious of the inside. But no, he rode good that heat race. It was a fun battle. It was really fun going back and forth with him. When it's racing like that, I would rather do that or moto with Jason because it's a fun way to race. Oh, and the starts, yeah. We've done a few starts during the week and kind of changed a few things, yes.
Scott Yarjo, Moto Now blog. Chase, we obviously had a different schedule today. You had more time between the heat races and the main than you normally would. Does that change your routine at all? And also, did the early start to the day also impact you?
Yeah, the heat races being us first, or even qualifying, it was really weird. I haven't done that. I mean, I've only been in this class for 4 years now, but it feels really foreign to me going first in the heat races. I didn't really like how much lag time we had between heat and main. I feel like I hadn't been on the track in about 4 hours, but it wasn't that long. It just kind of felt that way, and the track changed from heat races to the main, obviously a lot, but even more being first and then going last. But I don't know, I was actually thinking if they're going to run us first in the heat race, we're going to go first in the main, but that wasn't the case. So I don't know, it was kind of weird, and I kind of want to go back to how it was before.
All right, Jimmy Guida.
I've got two if we have time.
We do for you, bud.
Okay. First one's for Chase Sexton. With the struggles that you kind of felt just a few weeks before Supercross Series started, and where you're at now, how confident are you in your championship capabilities at this point with the bike and everything?
Definitely getting there this week. Like I said, I only rode one day, but we did a day of testing, and I made big improvements, especially in the whoops. I think my whoops today were a lot better, even though the whoops got beat down in the main event. In practice, I was better. So that was kind of my biggest task this week, was getting better in those. And I've, like I said, it's just kind of a guess and test with this new bike. You don't really know what works and what doesn't. And I feel like my mentality is kind of going a different way than they've gone in the past as the team. So, but they've been awesome working together and definitely heading in the right direction. And this tonight was big confidence boost, even though I didn't win, as my riding was a lot better. And after that heat race, I was pretty pissed off. So I'm looking forward to next weekend. But yeah, we're making